Yeah, we were just talking off camera here about a case study that we're going to be talking about here today in a grocery store. What exactly are they again? Grocery store niche?
Clothing store, actually.
Oh, clothing store. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a clothing store, which is pretty cool. But we so
I should know these things.
That's right. So we're just gonna just dive right in and start cruising. But there was a newer consulting client that was basically kind of getting a bit of a feel for strategies that we employ at Tier 11. Mm-hmm. And they're wild and they're outlandish and they're scary and they go against everybody that ever thought anything would be possible ever in these platforms. And so it's like, well, let's just work towards like working together first on seeing if you kind of know what you're talking about, kind of thing. So we end up working with those people and made a pretty drastic change that is more like atypical than what people are used to. And I haven't talked about this topic for years, but it's a topic that I deploy almost every single account that we take over or we manage, or every single account that we audit. It's something always top of mind. And that is, obviously, we already know that ROAS is going to be the topic for today, but the brand campaign spend versus brand campaigns attribution. Right. There is a lot of times you can increase your value of your company by 100% in a week. And it sounds like, okay, well, yeah, that's cool. But I've seen it before. You can much more often really increase the new customers and new growth for sometimes basically the same amount of spend that you were spending now. If you're omni-channel, but you're overspent in brand. If you're overspent in singular performance max. Right. Or if you're overspent in a brand campaign on search. I have a pretty wild idea that panned out really well. Thank God. But I figured it was going to happen with the new client. And that's a case study for today of taking your head out of the singular channel, looking at the business goals, right? Then optimizing the spend, regardless of what the platforms say in terms of performance, but optimizing the account's spend for a proper goal alignment, which is so foreign. I don't know why. It's so foreign to a lot of people. And
why do people not ask that? I just don't. It seems so obvious, right?
It really is. And it's for some reason it's so obvious yet so foreign. But I know why. It's scary. It is really freaking scary to say, hey, take all of your brand spend that has hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue, just pause it.
Yeah.
Just remove it. Don't worry about it. You don't need it. Like that is like, people are like, okay, well, that's the only one that's over 500% ROAS. And that's the only reason why I'm getting that in-app performance. Is like, that's why you'll never grow. It's like it's almost like in Troy when it's like, when Brad Pitt's like, that's why no one will remember your name. It's kind of like that's, it's kind of like that
I just watched that movie last week.
Did you really?
For the first time. Like it just kept coming up and I'm like, I've got to watch this.
It's like a rite of passage. Like
that was great.
It's like that, a bar mitzvah, your puberty, like it's right there.
Gladiator. Watching Gladiator hundreds of times. So, all right. So we're going to get into this case study here in just a bit. Before we get into it, and the question that I have for you is, and I always say a different thing when asked, why is MYRR so important?
Yeah.
Right. But also, what is it? Because when I look at MYRR from Tier 11, I actually look at it as the M being marketing. Because it's spend plus salaries. That's how I look at it as a CEO. I know you look at it as media, paid media in both cases. Pros and cons to either one, the other. Where do you sort of sit on that?
Yeah. So for media efficiency ratio for MYRR, my opinion, and everyone has a different interpretation because there's never been, Webster's dictionary to come by and correct everybody. It's mostly towards paid media. You can have MYRR without paid media, or you can include other things outside of paid media. However, I think for our position as who we are as professionals, which means performance marketers. Now, we are paid to increase things, scale things, grow things, become more profitable.
Right.
I like to use media efficiency ratio as a measurement of what I know we can increase and what I know we should see as return. So if you have an email campaign that's hitting the same 1,000 people every month since 1986, and it can't ever grow and no one can ever be added, I wouldn't count that as in your MYRR calculations because it's not affected by anything that you're doing marketing wise.
Okay.
It's revenue.
Sure.
But it's not going to be affected.
Okay.
So where I look at revenue or MYRR is where are the areas we're currently spending on? And you can even take into consideration like what it costs you to hire the employee to go and chat GPT a bunch of blogs every month. That could be increased. That cost could increase.
Right. And
that is media. And what is the ratio of that return? Because if you pay them twice as much to produce twice as many blogs, but they're not getting twice as many, twice as much out of it from the cost. If you spend $6,000 more a month, you should see $12,000 more per month that if you're trying to achieve a 2x MYRR. And if not, that's not being achieved. It's a very simplistic way of saying, was that more effective? Whatever that is, when I increased it, or was that even important after I decreased it?
Right.
So, and that's kind of what we're looking at with media efficiency ratio is in this area for this case study. We took a client who was spending majority of their money on brand instead of Google, and the same client that was seeing the majority of return in Google on brand. And we paused that campaign that had thousands of dollars, and we left the one on that was spending like $300, and some crazy happens because we actually took that ad spend and we reallocated it to Meta because this is a large brand. They have multiple physical locations that you can shop at. They have an online store. They have a good following. They've been in business 10 years or more, or try 15, 20 years. It's a great company. But they have brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Don't pay for it.
Right.
Stop paying for it.
Don't pay for it.
If you're a Nike buyer and you're like, oh man, I only see one search listing instead of two when I want to buy my new Nike shoe that I've been waiting for 6 months to come out, you're going to buy it. You probably buy it on Amazon. Who gives a shit? But you're going to buy that product.
Yep.
So I'll share with you something that is kind of crazy. Let me share a screen here. We'll kind of talk about the MYRR because that's in this calculation here. All right. So here's
here we go.
Last 7 days compared to the previous 7 days. So everything that we do here is live as it flows. This was $13,000 of their $23,000 in ad spend.
Live without a net. John,
yep, live without a net. We're going live.
Going live.
So this had $13,000 in cost last week in the biggest brand campaign. It was bringing in $151,000 in revenue out of the 250. And I said, yeah, just shut it off.
And they're like, has John lost his mind?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is the old CEO of a very large cupcake corporation, after they sold that cupcake corporation, was hired on here. Good friend of mine. He goes, hire John. Just trust me. He's weird and crazy, but it's going to work. And so like, okay, we'll believe you. So thank God I had that guy. Otherwise people are just going to be like, no, I'm not working with you. You're stupid. Right. So thank God that guy vouched for me. So this is the brand campaign after we shut it off. Now check this out. I'm just going to go to the enabled because this is where it gets really crazy. We left on this little broad campaign here. Okay. This little broad campaign spent a grand total of $38 more. And it's the brand and it's in broad. It wasn't spending $9,000 or, or $10,000 or $8,000. It's spending $500. And for the low price of $38 more, all of my brand traffic that everyone used to overpay for in that other campaign just flew into here at $100,000 rate.
Unbelievable. This is actually why this is a case study within a case study within a case study, but it's a case study as to why the
ROAS is bullshit.
ROAS is bullshit, first off. But secondly, the model that we now have, we're converting all our old customers off of a pay by the ad spend because ad spend, in some cases, it does not equal scale.
Right.
This is a great example of that. You're just getting more out of less.
Yeah.
Like
take that $10,000 and put it in your pocket.
The customer that's in the hospitality space who shall remain nameless.
Yep.
Less spend, more revenue.
Yeah.
So if you are an agency and you're running that outdated model, you're probably getting fat and happy on just scaling up stuff like this. Hey, I'm tripling my spend on my retargeting campaigns in Meta.
Yeah. Or I'm doubling down on the brand campaign because I'm measured by ROAS.
Exactly.
Yep.
but you're not moving the business forward by acquiring new customers. Hence, your media efficiency ratio then becomes a much more important indicator as opposed to ROAS.
Yeah. And what's funny is this one said, all right, fine. We're charging you 30 cents. We'll charge you 2 cents now. We'll take your 1,700 clicks. We'll move it up to 26,000 clicks.
Holy crap.
For $38. You know, all right, fine. For $38 more, here's all these thousands of clicks. And
this is why you have disciples, by the way, disciples and dogs.
Right. Let's just take your cost per conversion, reduce that by 90%. And here's your 42-cent conversions. And then let's take your ROAS, which is going to be really funny to see. I don't even know if I have ROAS in here. There's target.
Well, you don't even have it as a column. That's how
I don't even. I
of it.
really don't care about it. But the conversion value by cost. There you go. It's like this thing is so like fluffy that the brand campaign. It's like here's a 20,000 ROAS. There you go. Because if you don't do this in decimal points, if you do it in percentiles, that was a 1,600, and now it's a 20,000. All right, so good thing that, and now here, watch this. And you're like, yeah, but John, probably affect the top line, right? Or probably affect the bottom line. Nope. So this account we happened to save $7,000. And we're like, thank you very much. We'll put that in the bank. And guess what? Our conversion value went up 16%.
Unbelievable.
How the hell did that happen? Look at that. So you saved $7,000, you made 41, and then you also have, what about your conversion? So that went up 21%. Well, John, why did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you drop your CPC to pretty much nothing, you get unlimited clicks, and then you even get more attribution. But guess what? I'm no longer paying for it. That's it. It's all that is. Now, take all that good money and you say, let's just shove it into Meta.
Yeah.
Take this 3 and
top of funnel.
Exactly.
Top of funnel. Exclusions, obviously, as much as possible.
Doing catalog sales, DPA sales, like all this other stuff here. Evergreen campaigns, we're just going to spike it up. So take that money.
Their business model online, but as well as offline. So you're only measuring the online sales here.
And we're really only marketing for online. If it naturally flows into the stores, great. That's actually a phase 2 that we already have a plan on.
You know it is.
Oh yeah.
Especially with these campaigns, top of funnel.
And especially if one of their actual good executions is pick up in store, which means that person walks in and even buys more stuff after they try on the dress that they really like. Right. So this is now up. So they're like, okay, add in 100% here, add in 356% here, add in 119. So we took our money out, which is we took $7,000 out of here and put 27,000 into here. So it's a $20,000 incremental.
Yep.
Now the in-app results went up in Google and went up in Meta. Okay. So this one, website purchase value
is purchase conversion value accurate in this particular case in Meta?
It is.
It is.
No, not purchase conversion, website purchase conversion. So this is not. This is not. This is yes over here. So it collapsed that one. This is the actual one. This is the off of the right conversion actions.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So this we gained $255,000. So now I already did a presentation to the C-suite like the first week that we started this because everyone was panicked, and I was like, okay, this is before, this is after 11.1 to 11.4 because everything was paused as you see in Google. After the 31st, that's where it ends and it starts on the 1st. That's the day of the change. The first 4 days, Google spend went from $15,000 down to 7. Meta spend went from 10,000 up to 30. So there's a delta of $11,000 there. The in-app Google Rev went from 126 to 158. Meta went from 223 to 450. So now you have a revenue increase of 130. That's a 44% increase in top line costs between the two, and a total in-app increase of 130,000. So like, all right, cool. So in-app went up total between the two, up 130,000, and you spent more, which is 11,000. Okay, good. So yeah, you definitely spent more. The incremental blended ROAS is 11.09. And you see I'm saying incremental blended ROAS, not MYRR. Right. Incremental blended ROAS. Now, that was a $130,000 increase, but because it's in-app, it's missing a whole bunch of shit. So let's hop into their GA4 on the same date range. Their total revenue went from 677 up to 1.1 million. Okay. So the purchases went up 65%. The revenue went up 62%. So MYRR calculations, if you look at an incremental MYRR scale, you have 1102656 minus 677307. So you have $425,000 in additional top line revenue for a total increase of divide that by $11,720 for a 36 MYRR. Holy shit.
Holy shit is right.
And this is before Black Friday.
Really? Now, are you double checking this with the back end? I assume this is a Shopify store or
Shopify store. Yeah. Right now they're doing, well, no, I'm sorry, not Shopify, BigCommerce.
BigCommerce.
So we're using GA4 because they're like, we've been using GA4 for years. It's accurate enough. This is kind of we're getting them on a third-party attribution software platform. Guess which one?
It would probably be Wicked Reports, is my guess.
That's right. So once they're in there, we'll have much
will there
more
be a
data.
blot out integration as well?
There will be, yes.
Yes.
Because we're using GA4, which is just a dumpster fire. So anything is going to be better. So I threw the whole kit and caboodle. I'm like, we need stronger data. We need a better data stream. We need to have our tagging be fixed where it fires, and we need to have accurate attribution omni-channel.
I know a little thing called the Tier 11 data suite, which they might need. So
I'm glad you mentioned that. I should probably tell them.
Look, we're the only ones that have that too.
Yeah, and all the shit I'm doing by freaking hand can be done for you. But
unbelievable.
Yeah, shameless self plugs there. But
anyway. So wait a second. All right. So yes, shameless plug. Yes, hire Tier 11. Of course, that's the bottom line for doing all these. We're not doing it for our health. Well, actually, we are doing it for our health. We just love spending more time together.
It buys me LaCroix.
Isn't that nice? The point is that it's amazing they're using GA4 because it's close enough. How accurate, how close is GA4 to the back end? You said BigCommerce in this particular case?
Yeah.
Do you even look at that, or they're like, don't worry about it. We trust GA4 to a certain degree. It's close enough for us. It's like horseshoes.
You know, they actually fairly believe that GA4 is like pretty good because it's always been pretty accurate. Okay. It's accurate to totals, but not accurate to attribution. That's the key.
Totals. Okay. So total sales. Got
tag firing on the site.
Easy. Yep.
MYRR. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like when it went from 600,000 to 1.1 million, that is very accurate. How it's represented as to what happened, really inaccurate. But this is actually kind of cool. Check this out. This is something I wasn't really expecting. If we look inside
an insane case study.
I know, right?
Like this is one of the craziest things. But it's so it fundamentally. Like, it just makes so much sense. Why overpay for people that are already looking for you and know who you are?
I know. And that's what's great, too, is like it's in here, this paid search, you can even see that the revenue actually went up. And that was after I took the paid search, one of the campaigns, and just paused that was spending the most. It just funneled so well into it that even in-app, tag, and GA4 are two separate sources because GA4 is not pumped into Google Ads, not this particular instance anyway. It can be, but it's not here. But this went up. And now, obviously, organic search went up because guess what? We don't buy their brand name anymore. So direct is like, okay, cool. I'll just go here and same with organic. So all of this traffic just flew into here. Great. Yeah. Like we don't. I almost hit leave studio. That would have been a bad button.
Oh, that would have been
bad. What does that button do? Yeah, but everything just flew in there. Now,
never make John the host on any of these.
No.
Right.
No, never. You'll see a black screen for like an hour and then me swearing somewhere in Florida.
Where did he go? Anyway, I interrupted your train of thought there.
No, it's okay. All it was is basically once we get Wicked reports and once we get a better data stream, we'll be much smarter. This is what's funny is I've used tools like Wicked, and I've done this for such a long time where I'm like, I'm fairly confident, just take the biggest campaign that has the most amount of money, just pause it. You'll be fine. If you Google search their brand name or any variations of the brand name, because it is a difficult brand name to spell, that's why you use broad, cheaper CPCs, but it still it's like, okay, I know who you're trying to go after. And what's funny is we still have tons of people Googling everything, nothing changed. They're still finding us. We're still number one. And here's what's great is, even with this off, taking their biggest campaign, replacing $7,000 a week with $300 or $500 a week. Okay, you're still number one all here. You still have your Google My Business. You still have your ads, and you still have your listing here. Like, you're fine. No one's gonna be like, damn, where are they? They're freaking everywhere. But now when you look inside of here, if you look inside the brand core and you look inside your auction insights, who are we bidding against? Nobody. Don't worry about it. Don't overpay. If you are looking in your branded campaign and you're the only one there and you're paying more than 2 cents a click like what we are now, stop it. It tells you right there that Google's just like, sure, I mean, you'll pay it. I'll charge you for it.
This is a case study of why MYRR matters.
Exactly. Operational efficiency, reallocation of proper spend to the proper channels to grow towards the business goals that you're expecting to achieve.
Right.
That was
just because you're spending more doesn't mean that you're actually making more.
And ROAS is bullshit. Exactly.
ROAS is bullshit.
Because I can make you 25,000, but unless I do something with the money I saved you're not going to grow. You're just going to save money. So you save money on one area, you grow incrementally in the other.
I guess I'm trying to simplify this for people who this is a foreign concept. It's like a lot of the clients that we've had recently, we've reduced their spend, which is counterintuitive. You would think, all right, you're an ad agency, you just want to spend more money. No, that's not the goal. The goal is not for us to spend money and us to look good. The goal is for you to look good.
Yeah.
For your business to grow. And then we make sure that that's the case by looking into the back end and making sure that all the numbers work. Obviously, in this case, we're using GA4. Fine. They're happy with that. There's obviously
close enough.
It's close enough.
Close enough for our first test. Yep.
And you're also getting the waterfall effect in all the regions in which they're covered. You know that's happening. Like there's more people that are just going into the store now that you're upping your top of funnel spend on Facebook or Meta.
Mm-hmm. So what's funny is like that's coming in like a 30 MYRR incremental.
Crazy.
Like shit. Like I could be off by half and we're still dancing.
Let me ask you a MYRR question. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you could be at 15. You're still like, you could have your efficiency and you're still like so high.
Right.
So like just in general, when getting people to wrap their heads around this idea of like not ROAS, but MYRR, like what's a guideline? Or do you, when you first talk to an account, do you talk to them? Because this is usually like I've been on hundreds of discovery calls and nobody knows what MYRR is. Everyone knows what ROAS is. Like, yeah, I want a 3x ROAS. That's all they say. You know, especially, I mean, every sales call I think I've ever been on, that's what they want.
Yeah. It's been the standard since like 2016 for some reason.
So how do you change that mindset? And then how do you benchmark what a good MYRR potentially is for any particular customer? Or is it it depends on what their profit margins are? How do you determine it?
Yeah. So the way I know it's funny is I actually started working lately with the war room person on helping them because they want me to kind of like, partner with their company. So it's still kind of in discussion. But one of the things I would say is whether you're higher tier 11 or whether you would be like, I'll give you part of my company if you just make it big. No matter what, you still ask the same questions. And those questions are actually really, really, really particular. So, and you know this guy in War Room actually, not War Room, but so here's my questions. I always ask, what is our break-even MYRR? Break-even MYRR means how much cash out versus how much cash in does your company need to spend and make before you're like, okay, I'm not losing any money. That is a really great first kind of question.
First step
is what is your break-even MYRR? Because
do they
people
know
say
what that is?
Most of the time, no. So what I would say is everything that you're spending in terms of marketing or media, including TV spend, SEO, email campaigns, like that kind of stuff, everything they're spending in those areas, what is your total revenue? Because that will tell you if this is a lost cause or if there's a lot of capability, because where's the break even? If someone comes to me and says, hey, my break even MYRR is at 10, you have to 10x every dollar you put into that entire ecosystem. Now, if your break-even MYRR is at 3, great. That's easy. Every dollar I put in, I just need to make 3 back. I need to spend $1 in Meta, and I need to get $3 in Meta, Google brand, organic, and email, and direct, and returning customers and returning purchases. Okay, that's very plausible. But when that target's too high, it tells you how well is the business operating? How well do they have their pricing versus their margins? And is this even scale possible? Because as digital marketers, especially performance marketers who pay money for growing a company, I have a dollar cost associated with every scale, and usually it doesn't get cheaper when you get higher. You spend more money, or sometimes a diminishing return and upper level. So really high MYRR targets, really hard to continually scale.
Yeah.
So that break-even MYRR is important to know. And what is the MYRR? And so that would be like, okay, I'm currently at a 4. I need to be at an 8. Be like, okay, can we double the efficiency of everything everywhere? If you're a fairly good company, no, maybe not. And you're at a lost cause. Don't even try it.
Right.
Unless you're like, okay, I see massive opportunity. You're underspent. Your pricing is atrocious. But unless they're like, okay, you're paying twice to what everyone else is paying for the same product. There's things that you can obviously look at and say, okay, I do see opportunities for efficiency. But if it's like, man, you got a $12 product and it costs you $3 a click, and you need a 20x MYRR, it's not possible. It literally won't work. So that's the first thing. Then what is the LTV of a customer?
And we've had customers like that we've let go.
Yep. It unfortunately sometimes doesn't pan out, or what we thought is happening after we factor in all the other costs. It's like, ooh, this is actually a lot higher. And we don't have, any room to reduce our CPCs that much, and we can't increase our pricing. Like, that's a scary position to be in.
Yeah. Or change something in the business model from a COGS perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Like get better suppliers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or manufacture it yourself. Yeah.
Right. There's always those kind of like bigger changes that you can make. But it also tells you, like, do I want to go down a performance marketing approach and hundreds of thousands of dollars of ad spend for the next year? I don't know. Like, the check engine light's on. Let's try not to enter into the Grand Prix. It's like, it's maybe a good idea to pop the hood and kind of, move some things around there. So then you got to look at the LTV. The LTV of a customer, that will kind of tell you what your NCAC targets can be. Those are two things. So after you get top line MYRR, if those seem like they're appropriate, then you go into the next thing. Okay, what is our current NCAC and NCAC target? And then what is our LTV and maybe even an LTV target? Those can be had by bundles, upsells, cross sells, product development, etc. So you're looking at what is the LTV versus the NCAC. That'll tell you, okay, we buy them always for $20 and they always make us $100 every year. Now, the $20 purchase may only end up giving them a $5 first sale, and then they will spend an additional $95 the rest of the year. Okay, great. So it tells you your ROAS doesn't actually even matter in app. It can never matter. I have a client that it does not matter at all because their first sale is $12. Their second sale is $1,800. They get a sample. They order a lot of that product. So great. I really don't care what in-app ROAS is. It does not matter. I can't spend anything to get a ROAS above anything if I'm selling a $12 sale.
Right.
So that's where that'll tell you, is it possible to continue to buy on them? And what channels is that possible? And then what is it going to make? And if it's like, hey, we spend $25 and we only make $29. Again, trouble in paradise.
Right. A lot of the things that you're mentioning here and sort of saying very quickly, some people might not know what they are. That's why I put down on the bottom of the screen there, get the marketing performance indicators over at tier11.com/MPI.
So much better than this than I am. I'm just rabbit holing over here, and you're like, and here's what all of our listeners can find.
And here's what all this stuff actually means. So if media efficiency ratio is the first time hearing this, you don't know what NCAC is, you don't know what LTV is, AOV, all that, you can get it all here. It's like the most comprehensive guide. We actually built out an entire page on this, which isn't quite done, but it's tier11.com marketing performance indicators with little hyphens in between. But get this checklist. It's totally worth it because this is a new way of looking at marketing. It really is. It's before we got spoiled by attribution and by Meta and by Google and by in-app metrics like 10, 15 years ago. We've been going that road ever since. It's like when we started to lose visibility, we started to switch over to MYRR. And now we use MYRR almost exclusively, I think, with every client because, as you explained so well in this case study, ROAS is not an indicator of growth. ROAS might be an indicator of overspending.
You know what's scary is I can make your in-app ROAS, the totals on the report, look like whatever I want.
Whatever you want. You can look like a hero. Yeah. But are you moving
1,000 brand? Or 1,000 ROAS? Cool. More money to brand. Great. 2x? All right, less.
Yeah. Double down on your retargeting over on Meta.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like telling the kid that cheats in school, come back with an A. They're like, I'm writing the A in the parking lot.
As opposed to studying for the test.
Right.
Sure, you and I studied for Meditest that way.
I used to pay a kid in math class sour Skittles for his homework.
That's brilliant.
So I will kind of bring it back to the beginning. This is a really good case study for omni-channel, traffic, spend level allocations, ignoring ROAS in app, really ignoring it, and focusing on just top line MYRR. Because as you can see, what Google says versus what Meta says versus what GA4 says versus what actually happened, those are 4 different things.
Right.
You have a different metric, and then when we overlay Wicked, that's even going to be the 5th different thing. Now that's going to be the most accurate, but it's still the 5th different story.
Right.
So we always have to remember your ROAS is indicative of what that step in the funnel in that channel cost. But if you do not add it up to everything else, you've failed at marketing. That's it.
Yeah. Can you show again? I think that's like what you're mentioning right now is super important. We've got a lot of questions, so we are going to get to.
Yeah.
Is that Meta and Google are both claiming credit for the same sale and double counting, but I didn't see the numbers being that far off. Or did I just miss that? So like the total revenue was X, that was in GA4, but Meta was claiming credit for it from website conversion purchase value.
Mhm.
And then Google was doing the same. So there is, like, if you take the two of them together, it should be actually a larger number than it really is, but that is not the case inside GA4.
Well, what's interesting is they're a large brand with a lot of brand recognition. So they have a lot of direct, they have a lot of return users, they have a lot of return purchasers that overshadow what Meta and Google can produce at this time.
Right.
So it's almost like saying everyone that buys Rolexes in the world would still buy a Rolex, but add $1 to the ad spend. That dollar has no actual impact on the people that just continually buy Rolexes every year.
Right.
That's a little bit what's happening here. We have a great brand recognition, and people just come to our store every day and buy millions of dollars worth of stuff. And we're like, I made you $7,000. I spent $7,000 less. They're like, hey, way to go! But I'm still making my money. Now, when we start to double down on it, that's when you see the growth. What's interesting though is our in-app attribution. What we went to and from actually got lower. So check this out. Let me share a screen.
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw actually.
Watch
so
this.
Just double checking.
Yep. So if we take our before, so Google spend 15,263 plus Meta spend of 10,583. That's 25. Now let's take out another calculator and then say the 25. Oh, it's right here. So then revenue is 350,835 divided by 25846. You have a 13.57. So 13.57, this is blended ROAS. This is not MYRR. MYRR is the return traffic of all users purchasing on any channel that could have actually started from a paid media channel. So there could be direct, email, and organic. That's not going to be indicative, not always, inside the paid media platforms because they miss those a lot. So let's look at the after, though. So now we have our total spend. Actually, the rev is 480,845. That's right here, divided by 37,566, 37,566. It's a 12.8.
Yep.
So our blended ROAS went from 13.5 down to 12.8. Now that was the reduction. But because this is not MYRR, it's blended ROAS, which is also a bullshit metric. Because as this went down, the total spend increase was vastly outshadowed by the total revenue increase at a much higher MYRR.
Right.
So blended ROAS between the paid media platforms went down. When you count everything that those paid media platforms can attribute, it went up. And that's why in-app ROAS is good benchmark, but bad at saying, okay, that's it. That's the full story. Right. The other part, though, is that sheet, the before and after, was only 4 days. So in 4-day time period, day 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been spending 100% of its efficiency more. But the revenue is like day 1, then day 2, then day 3, then day 4. You have the time lag of return. So there is a MYRR delta there because a spike of immediate spend is not equating to a spike of immediate revenue yet. It grows into it. So this may normalize. That's the time lag we always talk about. That may normalize back up to a 13.5 MYRR, but you always expect your MYRR, your ROAS to go down when you increase spend because you're warming up new audiences. Love this shit.
If somebody didn't get that, it's a good thing that there is a recording of this that will be posted over at the Tier 11 YouTube site or wherever you are watching. We're actually on X now. I don't know if you realize that, John.
Really?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we figured it out. We finally, somebody typed
ago, it was still Twitter.
It was still Twitter. Yeah.
They're like, are we on Twitter? I'm like, I think it's called X now.
Brilliant. Our brilliant marketing team figured that one out. Somebody just had to insert the credit card in the right place. Anyway, thank you, Allison, for that. All right, so we get to some questions.
Let's do some questions.
5 past the hour here. John Moran's dog is in full effect. He says hello. Of course, let's get him here asking the first question. If a client has a high media budget for meta ads managed in-house, would you recommend the feeder strategy with PMax plus standard shopping or just standard shopping?
Absolutely, the feeder strategy. It's worked every time I've deployed it. But because it's a high amount of ad spend in Meta, you want to spend your spending allocation 80% on standard shopping, 20% on PMax. And you really won't be increasing your performance max budget until you see your blended in-app ROAS between those two campaigns not being a one-to-one scale of ad spend increases on standard shopping and a total of revenue between standard shopping and performance max. Once they don't match, one outpaces the other, then you're going to have to start to pump up PMax. Again, always measure top line. Always. I can't tell you how many times. I can't answer that really well. I'd have to be like, how much is your tag firing? How much attribution are you losing? What is your sales cycle? How long is it? Is it over 5 days? Because half the data is gone now. But we can't have time to go through all those questions. But I would recommend starting with a higher standard shopping first, because there's signals that are coming into Performance Max right now are so meta heavy. It's not even really caring what Google's doing at the moment. It's really not. So if you spend equal, you're going to have a shit ton of remarketing and warm traffic and returning customers. And then half the ad spend is trying to teach the other half the ad spend. And this audience here is so massive. It's like, yeah, I don't really care if you get a couple first clicks. I have 7,000 people that I can market now because you gave me all that budget to do so. So what you want to do is you want to have your ad spend on standard shopping be higher, less on Performance Max. Your Performance Max is going to look fantastic right off the bat. It's also going to ebb and flow much more with your meta. Now, as Google starts to increase and do really good job at standard shopping campaigns, do feed optimizations, negative keywords, make sure your bidding strategy is low enough that it's going to go after cold traffic, like a low T ROAS. That is going to be really a good and aggressive. And then you're going to start to see your Performance Max is going to be a little bit more stable. It'll stop ebbing and flowing so much with how meta does. It'll be independent. Once you see those correlations between meta ebbs and flows reduce the effectiveness on the ebb and flow of Performance Max, it's a signal that you're actually getting more of, well, it's a sign that you're getting more signal from your standard shopping into your Performance Max, because that link between those two tags is much more accurate than the link between the tag and the pixel. Google can remark its own traffic better than it can remark meta traffic. Make sure ecom priority and IDs are firing properly so that the item ID is matching the same item ID as the feed, so that your remarketing is perfect in Performance Max. I would heavily segment out those campaigns so that you have either categorical or SKU separations, so that you can double down on the fact that PMax is getting a signal from that standard shopping campaign. So if you hyper segment, they're more popular to each other. And then 80-20 split until you find that point where there's no normalization, then start to scale both of them equally. What that means is that if this is always at 80%, it's always at 20% of the budget, $800, $200, add 15 or 20% to both equally to get them to scale up in a stair-step model that is equal to each other. Don't do this, because then nothing happens. You're basically saying, okay, we're finding good performance here, finding good performance here. Let's grow this mini funnel, add 100% budget. So if it's $800 a day and $200 a day, you get 800, you get 200. Your equal percentage increases.
I'm just glad you're on our team.
This is fun. I love this shit.
My kids call you Otani, by the way.
What does that mean?
He's like the unicorn baseball player. He's like Babe Ruth. I was like the Otani of Google Ads. It's the Otani of traffic. Like, how's Otani doing these days?
It was Otani. Tony.
Or Shohei. They might say Shohei every now and then. Amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. So Artur is back. Good to see you.
He became
Artur.
LinkedIn friends with me. We're buddies now.
Oh, it's nice. With demand gen audiences leveraging audience signals instead of true audiences that we specify, have you been testing it, or are you hoping Google reverts the stupid move to demand gen?
I have been kind of anti-demand gen for a while. If you guys look on YouTube, you'll see a year ago a video that got over 1 million views where it says initial results of demand gen. And in my opinion, demand gen is a very specific use case function for me. It is top of funnel, and it is more list building. So list building is fantastic. If you're trying to say I'm getting demand gen to warm up cold audiences to get them to the bottom of the funnel, you can, but YouTube's way better at that. I don't think that adding in Gmail ads and a homepage of Google feed is having a large impact. And I also would double down on the fact that what we saw, and I actually saw this yet again with a consulting client in Germany this morning. He adds in more ad spend to the account and it starts to spend in really shitty channels. Demand gen will charge you per click for an open of a Gmail ad. That's scary. They never made it to the site, but if they open a Gmail ad, you pay per click. So my opinion would be, because Google is basically using this tool for more remarketing, which is what we saw, it actually does more, overtakes your good YouTube ads and then targets more warm traffic with the feed and then the GSP ads. Where this failed for me is I couldn't scale it anymore. Turned into just singular PMax, where it's like, nope, I'm going to do whatever I want. Where YouTube, I can still hit an audience without expansion really well. That's one. Two, the reason why they don't allow you to direct the audience and more suggest the audience is exactly that fact. It's going to go where it wants, and it's going to ignore your suggestions and exclusions, which means, again, it's just a ROAS machine. And that's wrong. It doesn't need to be a ROAS machine. It needs to be a cold traffic machine. And Gmail ads, in my opinion, are not the way to do it.
Interesting. His follow-up here is sort of hits on that. I'm frustrated with this update because the efficacy of the VACs are way more effective because of the targeting. What's your take? VAC. Well, I don't even know what VACs are.
I don't know what VACs are either. It's an acronym I haven't heard before.
Huh.
Video action campaigns. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. It's exactly right. And I would say that, yeah. It's funny. I haven't seen them called VACs. I don't know why. I'm surprised I haven't come across that anymore. That makes so much sense. I
think Archer just like coined it himself. Trademarked that sucker. Yeah.
I got MYRR, you got VAC. It's cool. Now if someone does it like with a YUM, we got a MYRR vacuum. That'd be
MYRR
vac. So yeah, but the video action campaign is exactly right. It overtakes your YouTube ads. It just sucks that in. And then it blasts all of the additional ad spend that you wanted to go into good audience. It's like Gmail ads. It's like, fuck, no. And it's like, what about impressions off the feed? You're like, I still don't want that either. Like, it's basically like we took the good and then they bolted on the bad. They're like, man, no one wants Gmail ads. What if we force you to use it? It's like, that's never a good idea.
Did they ever work?
I've never had them work. And I had so many times. I've tried them so much. And until I started looking at actual, well, here you go, ECPNV. When you look at actual ECPNV, which is one of our standard core metrics of MPI that we measure, your ECPNV, you'll find out it actually can
pioneered by you, by the way. There was no ECPNV before John Moran. So anyway, go.
So your effective cost.
I want to give you a little prop there.
Thank you, sir. The cost per new visit, the effective cost per new visit. That there. You'll see it sometimes go up because you're going to get more clicks, but potentially less people to the site. So Google's like, got 100 clicks, now 200 clicks and 300 clicks. You're like, then why is my visitors going 198, 102?
Huh.
It's because they click on a Gmail ad, never make it to your site.
Because of what? Load speed? Like what happens? I've never seen one, by the way. I've never clicked on
a Gmail ad?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think I ever have.
Hold on, actually. So this is.
I've never seen one in my inbox. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah. So let's do this here. Hold on. All right. So you're probably going to get, a little bit of an insight as to, the crap that I look at. I hope it's not too embarrassing.
Just keep the porn stuff to the side there.
I know, right? So, all right. So go ahead and share this. So there's 90.
Yeah.
So this is a product that we use. If I navigate over to my promotions tab and then go here and I click, that is a click. I just costed 90 money, but I have
clicked it, but you've yet to go. Got it. Okay.
I've not made it to the site.
All right.
So if you look at your ECPNV, I can send you a Gmail ad, and hopefully, if you're a person that's like, you know what, I wake up every day, I ignore all the important email in my inbox, I jump right over to the promotions tab, and I just go to town. You may be a believer in demand gen. I've never met that person.
Yeah. All right. I just clicked on my promotions tab, which I never actually open. And they all go to my sane black hole folder. That's the reason why I never see them.
But that's demand gen. You're generating demand. Trust me.
I am.
Everyone's incredible. Like, wait, that's what that is? Yeah, that's Gmail ads.
So you click on it, and then it goes, and then you have to click again to go to the site, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
but Google charges you when you open Gmail.
Of course, right? Now I understand.
You still get the message, exactly. And now all of a sudden it's like you got 7,000 clicks from demand gen. It's like, where's my site traffic? It's like, like
nothing.
It
we
didn't
just
go
took
anywhere.
Your money.
Right. It's like, how about this? Why don't you just send email? It's free.
Well, that's why Google's profit this past year was, what was it? Google profit $87 billion.
Yeah,
revenue.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. My tech ETFs are extremely happy, but as an advertiser, I'm pissed off.
That's unbelievable.
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
So that's there we go. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Thank you, Archer, for that. Yes, John is constantly in the lab. We'll have more stuff coming out of the lab very, very soon. Jose V says, does PMax still need lots of conversions to work?
Well, define work. Just kidding. So Performance Max, again,
scoops up the easy traffic. We know that.
Yeah, I've said this since day one. Demand gen is very poor at generating demand and very good at capturing demand. And I need everybody who watches this to really get intimate with what that means. Performance Max will use every channel to go after every single person that they think will convert. Doesn't matter if it's the owner of the company that's running the ads or someone that never heard of the company before. It will go after anybody it thinks. That's good and bad, because it's good when you're beginning out. You have no brand recognition. You have no existing customers. You have very little warm traffic. PMax crushes it. That's why it works so well. Like 2 years ago, it was the belle of the ball.
Why not?
But
you were one of the first.
Right. I was on the development team at Google. I worked with those people, and it was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I was like one of the first people to get a beta program. And then I was introduced to the client. They're like, hey, John, this is the guy that's on there. John is, helping us and YouTube meet. And they literally just Google handheld a client right to me. It was actually really cool. They sold tile. Tile, bathroom tile. Go figure. Anywho, so this PMax, it does need a lot of conversions to work, but you have to also look at the fact is it the conversions that you want? Is it new or returning conversions? Is it newer and cold traffic? Did it generate the traffic to begin with? That is where you have to dig into it. Because if you're like, well, shit, 3 out of 10 people that click are new. Mm-hmm. And of the 5 conversions, 3 are people who made purchases 1, 2, and 6 months ago.
Right.
So my question to you is, does that work? Yeah, it's got a lot of conversions. Does it work? It's up to you. And that's what is goal
depends
dependent.
On your definition.
It's goal dependent. Exactly.
Will it get you fired?
Absolutely. and
also can wake up.
It also can realize. I was gonna say it also can give you a raise until the company goes under.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
You make yourself look great there, but you're not actually adding any more value. You're not actually helping the client achieve their goal, whatever that goal is. And that's the number one question. Right?
You want to see something scary? Here's scary. I'm gonna share screen again. We use Performance Max.
Your case study was scary. Scary good. So,
right.
Anyway. All right.
So
you're gonna have a tough time topping that.
Right. So we use Performance Max in this account on purpose in order to do the remarketing from everything that we're pumping on Meta. And we're really cranking up. Like we are new leads, MERS holding, new customers are increasing. Awesome. And we threw in Performance Max and it's like 500 ROAS. We're like, yeah, I'm so glad I'm getting that from my Google Ads campaign with 5.8% new people.
Yeah.
Does that work? Sure. If you want to remarket. Yeah. Right. Fuck yeah. It's definitely working. Look at all that revenue, 17 grand from that didn't have anything to do with it. So my NCAC is atrocious. Why? Because they're not new.
Yeah.
That's why
those are the numbers that matter right there. Those are the metrics that matter in growth at scales there, John Moran.
And that metrics work as long as my client loves paying $500 every single time it gets a new customer.
Right.
That's not a good idea.
Much sense.
Bingo.
No. There's a whole different thing. I think this whole conversation here is all about like ROAS is basically is trash and it can be manipulated. And MYRR is the way in which you should be measuring. It might not make you look as good as you're looking right now, but it will help the client.
Growing profitable companies don't fire those people though.
Right. And you will have longer term clients. If there's agencies that are listening or watching here, not that I want to give you any free advice, but like we've done it both ways. Trust me, this way is better.
I have something at the end I'll just leave everybody with about MYRR. So don't let me forget. I will leave everyone with the best advice I can at the end. All right. So we got 10 minutes left.
Nice tease.
Yeah. Does
the
shopping
as soon as we start answering the questions, a lot more questions come in. And then I find myself like, running out of time at the end. So all right. So let's try and answer these as quickly as possible. John Moran's disciple, of course. He always gets a good question in here. You can read that off.
Or she jumps in quick. Does the shopping feeder strategy PMax standard work for 3-tier standard shop? No, it does not, unfortunately. So the Performance Max actually replaces number 2 and 3. That's the goal. You want that always being secondary or not as important or cheaper traffic or brand. And that's supposed to be being the receptacle of what is being fed from standard shopping.
Got it. All right. John Moran's disciple, John Moran's dog. Lots of John Moran's here.
I'm going to get John Moran's left toe soon.
John Moran's head. That's what we need.
John Moran's hair.
John Moran's floating
head. That's why it's not here.
John Moran's hair. I'm going to sign in as John Moran's hair.
Right. I'm going to wear a wig next time.
All right, you can read this one here.
Yeah. How do you optimize Google Ads campaigns for a direct-to-consumer e-commerce apparel client when the best-selling category is a 50% return rate, while other categories have much lower return rates, such as 10? I'm hoping that return rate, and this means that people, oh, no, you could be meaning that these people return that item and not people that like they return to buy. I'm imagining that's what that is. Let me know in the comments again, and we'll come back to this one here. But tell me what the 50% return rate is. It existing customers or people return that product? That's way too different. Yeah,
very different things.
That's two different things. Yeah.
Dave actually has a question: what models are you exploring instead of targeting off ad spend? Well, we use a flat fee model now, but above a certain amount of ad spend, then we add on and we renegotiate the agreement. It's just that simple.
But they're really high.
Yeah, I mean, people like it a hell of a lot better. Of course, we've got blog posts that we can show here. Yes, if you want to learn more about MYRR, this is actually one of the best blog. It ranks for MYRR, believe it or not, like in Google. So anyway, go figure. Lucas, this is where the Friday Live. Oh, he was confused. It was over on the Perpetual Traffic channel. Well, that's cool too. You can go there, but you won't see us. We do rebroadcast these every now and then on Perpetual Traffic because they're so freaking good. All right, Marcus Hagan says, how would you divide $100 for the feeder strategy for a one-man appliance repair company with $5 to $12 clicks and a $100-a-day budget? Would you stick with max clicks with conversion tracking? Feels like we've answered this kind of question before.
Yep. I would, it was about plumbing. This was about the appliance repair. So I would to start off, I would do 60-40, $60 a day inside of either a max clicks or a manual CPC to start, and then $40 a day into a TCPA or TROAS, depending upon if you're using VBB, which is value-based bidding, or if you're using just conversion-based bidding. So I would do a 60-40 split because with a low budget, but still high CPC, you're going to see, can you buy any more incremental cold traffic in your manual or max clicks or manual CPC campaign at a decent price, and see if you're getting overcharged in your TCP and TROAS, and it's not actually needing to be $5 to $12 a click. It could be $2 on manual, but it's $5 when Google decides that it can sell you a conversion, and that's the price that they choose to fix it to. So that'd be how I'd structure that.
And then send 10% of your fees over to John Moran at Venmo.
And come repair my fridge.
That's right. Come prepare. My fridge is always seeming like on the fritz. So anyway,
see, mine's always running. I got to go.
Yeah. That's the hard part. It's so big, and even with you being like so muscular and strong now, like the new John Moran. Lucas does have a question. Are you live somewhere else than YouTube at the same time? I believe we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and somewhere else, maybe Instagram.
And so both of our houses, but
both of our houses, but you can't come here. So anyway, Marcus, sorry, we just answered that question. Marcus has another question here. I think that's the same.
So it's close.
Okay.
Now that eCPC is gone, is what he added to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually like max clicks better than eCPC only because it can also react to competitive pricing, and it works its way down. It starts high, then works its way down to the absolute minimum CPC that it possibly can to still get enough clicks. So it usually gets you a fairly decent second, third position, sometimes fourth and top of fifth, which is really shitty because that's at the bottom. But check your search impression share, and then you might have to just manual it for a while if it's too fluctuation or within too much volatility.
Very cool. We definitely helped him there. All right, Bridge.
Yeah.
Trying shopping feeder PMax TROAS 300% and shopping TROAS 550%. PMax is spending mostly on shopping, not much on display. CPC is close to shopping CPC. Is this normal?
I would actually do this. So check if your positioning is good for your keywords in both campaigns. A couple things. What you want to do is you want to have a larger separation of your TROAS. So I usually use like a 40% standard shopping and like a 350 PMax. I want those to be farther out. I don't want them to be so close that they photo the same person and nothing ever gets fed. They just bounce off each other. Keep one really aggressive. So standard shopping, I push that down to like 40-50% TROAS, and your PMax ran up to like sometimes 350, 400, because then it's like, okay, Google doesn't know about this person, goes to standard shopping, which is where the first click needs to be due to the fact that Google doesn't know. And then when Google knows, they only bid on them if they have a high chance of success.
Yep.
If they don't bid on them anyway, because they're probably not going to convert. So that's why you want those things to be spread apart farther.
Makes sense. Artur says MYRR is cooler than VAC, but great VAC equals great MYRR. So anyway, now that we know what VAC is, video action campaigns. Hey John, how do you
something new?
something new today? Hey John, how do you explain seemingly unexplainable drop in conversion rates? I'm running a Google lead gen campaign for some strange reason. Conversion just fell off a cliff. Could not find a answer. Or he ran out of space.
Could not find a technical issue or anything. I have a theory that it might be due to election or something. Well, if conversions are dropping, especially this time of year, and it's a lead gen campaign, that's odd. I can see a conversion or e-commerce campaign because someone's running their Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale at the same time. But I would look into do a before and after and look at all of your competitive metrics. Search impression share top, absolute top, loss due to budget, loss due to ranked on both impression share top and absolute top, click share. Look through to see and look through auction insights. Did anybody come in and start taking your lunch? Right. Exactly. Yep. Did anybody knock you down or anything? Because usually lead generation is so sensitive to be at the top that if you're number 3 versus number 1, you went from first considered, first clicked, and first talked to I talked to one person, I talked to a second person. I don't want to talk to a third person. So that positioning is ultra important. I check there first.
Okay. Got it. The campaign was destination wedding packages. Does that change your
Absolutely. Yeah, because this is a long process with a lot of phone calls and a lot drawn out process. You being number 1 is important. So nothing is going to look out of spec. You're still going to get a bunch of clicks. You may even have more clicks. Your CPC dropped maybe a little bit better. All that stuff could be bad though if you want a good high position. Got it.
Makes sense. All right. A couple more questions here. I am not even going to try and pronounce this person's name. I don't even know what the little
Mallory.
Anyway,
I'll do Mallory. You do Mallory. We got it covered.
Let's call the whole thing off. We're a small Swedish agency. After 1 to 2 weeks of ads, 2,500 impressions, 175 clicks, and $2 a click. We haven't received any leads. Is this normal? They're advertising.
I don't know what channel you're on.
Themselves.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I don't know what channel you're on, and that is a high amount of impressions for low amount of clicks. Not too bad though. It almost seems like a search, but $2 a click could be really low. Again, I would check your positioning. $2 a click if you're an agency. Again, I don't know CPCs for agency in Sweden. I don't have that off the top of my head, but if it does seem on the lower side because typically you're just going after every single person good.
That is low.
Yeah, that's low. Yeah. I think your positioning could be important. So if you're not on search, be on search. If you're not on exact match, go on exact match. So go on search, go on exact match so you can control intent and positioning, and then use manual CPC and look for placement. You're going to probably need to be in the $5 to $10 CPC range if it's possible, and that's where you should be number 1, number 2. For lead generation, on search, positioning matters. Google knows it. That's why they charge you 100 times more between the first position and the 4th.
The real question is should you be advertising on Google for your agency at all? Because we found it, they're dog shit leads.
Now, the other part is, my consulting client in Germany is running a Facebook ad, $100 a day, and closed like 8 clients in a week.
Wow.
So country does matter for sure.
Could matter quite a bit. Like we did it primarily US, Canada, and I think Australia for a while. We got nothing.
No.
So,
but we're the land of bullshitters. Sweden might be pretty honest.
A lot of happy clickers over here.
Why do I see the best Google Ads agency 48 times in a row? Who's lying here?
Somebody can't be the greatest of all time.
Right. All right. We're at time. We got time for one more. All right.
One more.
Tracking Google Organic and pay clicks on Facebook for each one, searching after viewing the ad last month, 5K. My question is how to avoid spending money from both platforms on the same person. My question would be do it. If you're looking at Google Organic and pay clicks on Facebook, you're going to probably see the same thing. So if you're doing Google Organic and pay clicks on Facebook for each one, you're not going to spend money on both because if it's organic on Google. If you're running brand on Google and pay clicks on Meta, you're at the beginning stages of a customer journey. What's your need developing? Here's what I would really suggest. Invest in Wicked. The Wicked Reports, the tool, just to get only the difference between your first click, your last click, and your customer journey. Because I'll share the screen for 30 seconds. I promise it won't be long. Wow. Right here.
We're in bonus time here.
I know, right? This is what you want to know.
Extra for this.
Yeah. If you said, hey, I have 49 grand in Facebook, after 4 days, 90% of these people end in Facebook. This will tell you, do you need Google Organic? Is there anybody coming from Facebook and converting on Google Organic? Because right now it's 1% the people that were driving from Facebook. No, they are not converting on organic. Look at your funnel, look at the efficiency of the funnel, and then say, oh shit, I didn't even need that. That might save you thousands of dollars a month for the low cost of awesomeness and Wicked.
Yeah, that's a great screen, by the way. Hats off to the Wicked guys for creating that one. I believe we requested that, and they created it. So,
and it's getting upgraded too, which I'm super excited about.
I know. Wicked used to be a dumpster fire. It really was, but now it's fucking great. So there you go. Yeah. All right, last question here. Can we answer this?
I got it. Yeah, we got it.
You got it.
All right, since we know Google Ads charges higher average CPCs based on conversion value, how does Facebook handle this? Actually, we have not really seen the same thing in Facebook. We tested the crap out of it. Facebook is really starting to optimize for lower CPCs, lower CPMs, and better efficiency when it gets more conversion value. Google is more evil than Facebook in this opinion, or in this situation.
There you have it. They're both evil.
They're both evil. Google's eviler, if that's a word. Word of the day, eviler.
Hey, do know what did they say? Like to start off, like they
said do no evil. Yeah,
do no evil.
Yeah, and now they actually just appended it. It's do no evil to the stock price.
You know what? I just Googled how much Google actually makes in a year, like net profit, 100 billion.
Yeah,
that is nothing profit.
That is nothing but honest, hardworking individuals there.
Unbelievable. All right. Well,
like a politician.
We are over time here.
Yeah.
You've paid absolutely nothing for this free advice here. Thank you very much, everyone who did attend. It's great to see you, John.
Yeah,
I hope you have an awesome weekend. And we will be back, same channel, same time, actually on Twitter, like we were on today, or X, as well as all the other Tier 11 socials. We'll see you next Friday, everybody. Thanks for coming, and thanks for everyone who asked questions and participated in today's
thanks, everybody.
Tier 11 Live. See ya.